Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of the Collector Car Canada podcast. Today, as you see, we're in the office today. We got this as well as everyone else does. We're in the office today, we're not at the garage, so getting some of the laptop and hard work done behind the scenes instead of fooling around with cars today. But today we're going to bring to you a couple of videos, a couple of items. Namely, we have a 2014 Porsche Cayenne diesel. We don't take many SUVs on the site, but the fact that this one is a diesel really interested us. And the towing power, they've become sort of trendy for the weekend track set as a tow vehicle. But of course, it's got all the off-road and winter capabilities of any Porsche Cayenne. And the other car we're going to talk about today, I should say with the Cayenne, we've got that car, access to the car for that video. With the 1973 Volkswagen Beetle, which is a custom, I myself did lay eyes on the car last week. Got to meet the seller in person, which I don't always get to do, and got to go for a ride in the car too. The seller took me for a ride and showed off some of its capabilities. It's a pretty neat Beetle. As you'll see if you look at our listing. But we don't have the car today for me to walk around it, so I'll speak to some of the videos we shot last week and some of the still photos and splice something together for you. The 2014 Porsche Cayenne diesel, the clock says 192,000 kilometers. I was amazed it had that mileage after sitting in it and even getting to drive it because it's in beautiful condition. It is lot 181 on the site, CollectorCarCanada.CA. So the 2000 Cayenne diesel is lot 181. And the 1973 Volkswagen Beetle, which is a custom piece, 4-speed manual with what was a 1585cc single port engine. It's been bored out to 2180 cc's and a dual port. And the licensed tech owner, so I always think those are good people to buy from, someone who's a licensed technician. He estimates that power plant can push out 130 or so horsepower, which is quite powerful for a little 1973 Beetle. It's got, as you'll see, it's got a matte black finish and a couple of neat appointments. It's custom under the engine cover. It's also custom on the inside, so you'll see those when we take a look at the video. So thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Our little podcast is gathering steam here and growing just like the business is growing. So again, thank you for watching. CollectorCarCanada.CA. All right, welcome everyone to another episode of the Collector Car Canada podcast. Today we're going to talk about a 2014 Porsche Cayenne diesel with just under 192,000 kilometers on the clock. I'm going to start by firing the car up. We'll take a look under hood and we'll listen to the exhaust as the engine idles, and then we'll go from there. So without further ado, firing up the 2014 Porsche Cayenne diesel, 192K, and on our website you'll find it as lot 182. So it might have looked like I was turning a key when I started the car. However, there's a simulated key fixed into place on the left side of a Porsche feature. We've seen it since 911s. But here are the actual keys to the car. So like a modern fob, there are two stock keys that come with the car, and they're in quite nice condition. You might see the key tags on here. As you might guess, that implies that this is a dealer sale. So this car is for sale by a dealer. There'll be HST charged by the dealer on the final price, and he might even be offered to a trade. So let us know what you have and what you're thinking about maybe trading. So getting to that engine bay. So this Cayenne diesel is a 3-liter V6 engine. You're not going to believe how clean it is underneath. Not too bad at all. 3-liter V6 diesel engine, and it was factory rated at 240 horsepower, just over 400 pound-feet of torque. As we'd expect, I guess, with a diesel, pretty high in the torque for the displacement. Let's walk around to the back and have a listen to the idle. So we got exhaust on both sides, neat kind of rectangular model, and we'll just take a listen to that exhaust for 5 seconds or so. Sounds nice and clean. Then we'll walk around. I'll walk around and shut the engine down. You might notice the car's wet. We just had it cleaned. It got caught in the rain just as we were getting ready for the video, but it'll be delivered clean, of course. You probably noticed no prop rod, just the one strut on this hood. It doesn't have any trouble keeping the hood up. So a nice Porsche logo, of course. As a Porsche followers would know, the majority of new cars Porsche delivers nowadays are 4-doors. In 2013, it was in around 75%. So these Cayennes, as well as the Macans and the Taycans, they're no exception at all. This is where Porsche does its big numbers. I suppose the profits from the 4-doors pay for the SUV, or the R&D for the sports cars. So walking around this car, it's got a nice blue finish. This is the original paint. Nice clean Carfax. You'll find that on our listing. Again, lot 182. Reinforcing the diesel. We got a nice diesel badge there on the fender. And those who follow the site might realize or might be knowledgeable that we don't often take SUVs. The thing that we liked about this and listing it is it's not your typical base model gas Cayenne. It's a diesel. So that makes it a little more interesting for us. We got a nice big wheel here. These tires have nice grip on them. They're a Goodyear Assurance. We've got 4 identical tires all the way around. He's in nice condition. It's just called dark blue metallic. I'm checking my notes on the phone here. It's a Porsche code N4. Sort of obscured by the raindrops. We just got caught in a light downpour after cleaning it. Nice badging, the same Porsche crest script rather that you'd find on the sports cars, and the same Cayenne badge on the rear hatch that you'd find on the other Cayennes. That diesel is the giveaway though on the fender, the diesel badge that what we're dealing with this one. So yeah, on the inside we've got a Porsche entry and drive system which has a sensor here in the handle. All of the Porsche options are listed rather on our listing with a description of what they are. So yeah, they call this a standard Luxor beige interior. For the color, boy, it's nice and clean. You can see we've got several way power seat. I know the driver is 12. With all those buttons, I think the passenger might be as well. Porsche made to measure sort of for a Cayenne floor mat, and it's pretty clean underneath too. There is a set of winter mats in the hatch, and if this car was driven in the winter, I expect it has been, the winter mats would have been in place because those mats and carpets look pretty darn good. So I should say too, lots of your normal accoutrement for a luxury SUV. Owner's manual from original is in here. A neat analog clock, which is somewhat a tribute to the chronometers you might find in a 911 or high-end Boxster Cayman. And we got a dual zone climate control, so there's a temperature reading for both passenger and driver, and an automatic transmission as we see, and of course we got GPS and Bluetooth, state of the art for 2014. Of course this truck would have been a pretty luxurious piece in 2014, and so state of the art at that time. Okay, so earlier I misspoke. I think I said 12-way power seat. It's in fact 14-way power seat for both the front passenger and the driver, including a power lumbar. And a good look at the back seat shows that it's a good spacious back seat, 5-passenger vehicle. So when that armrest with the cup holder is flipped up, there's plenty of room for a middle passenger in the rear. And if we go back to the hatch, I'm gonna need the key for that somehow. There we go. So yeah, this, as I was mentioning earlier, there's a nice set of winter mats included. And this is not a Porsche piece, this protective mat, but it's done a nice job of keeping that beige Luxor material kind of almost as new. And we've got an unused spare, and I see the red paint on that spare. It screams Porsche to me. And I did lift the lift gate, but you can see there's a power control for that to shut her down. It's actually, the Cayennes are becoming, especially the diesels, are becoming a trendy thing for track drivers to tow their track car to the track. Tomorrow, by the time you see this video, this will be in the past, but tomorrow our business is hosting a Cars and Coffee event here at the Haggerty Garage and Social in Burlington, Ontario. We'll have this Cayenne here for the event, but we expect in the hundreds of Porsche cars. So we're hoping to find some track drivers here who are interested in this Cayenne. Including thoughts on our blue Cayenne diesel. The wheels I was talking about earlier, they're an 18-inch, and those would be the stock wheels with the colored crests, which is always a nice touch on a Porsche. As I say, 18-inch, those Goodyear Assurance tires are V-rated. One neat piece about this car, you'll see it in the option decoding on the listing, no roof rails, so it's got a little bit more of a sleeker look. And the one thing I was impressed by looking at the spec sheet is the fuel economy. I'm used to driving V8 engines that might not be that fuel economical, but this diesel is factory rated at 6.7 liters per 100 kilometers. Now you'll have to keep your foot off, you have to keep your heavy foot off the accelerator to get that, but that's pretty admirable fuel economy for a car in this class. So maybe our cameraman will take one last circle around the truck for one last look at the 2014 Porsche Cayenne diesel. Just short of 192,000 kilometers on the clock now. Running like a charm. Nice clean car with the metallic blue over the Luxor beige. 3-liter V6 diesel engine with 240 horsepower and 406 pound-feet of torque. So you'll see it on our website, CollectorCarCanada.CA, and this piece is lot 182. Thank you for watching. Take a look at our listing, please. Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Collector Car Canada podcast. Today we're going to talk about Collector Car Canada lot 182, which is a custom 1973 Volkswagen Beetle with a 4-speed manual. This is a really interesting car, and definitely something that catches the eyes at cruise nights, and unlike anything else. It's got a black matte finish, pretty popular touch these days. It's got an original set of VW steel wheels. They've been painted black with red rings, and those are skinned in a set of Michelin XZX tires. Chrome bumpers with rubber bumper guards, both front and rear. It's got VW glass all around and a driver's side chrome mirror, like a Beetle of its period you'd expect. But as I say, it's pretty custom. Going to the interior, it's got original VW Beetle vinyl bucket seats up front. There is a light tear in the driver's seat, and the owner has covered that up with a piece of electrical tape, which matches the color, but there is a tear underneath the tape. The current owner, who's owned the car about 4 years, changed some of the upholstery in the car. He's brightened up the interior by putting a fitted red door cards in, as well as the equivalent position in the rear seats, so sort of the sidewalls of the rear seats in red. It really does wake up the interior of the car a bit from being a monochrome black, And another nice touch on the door cards is that there are map pockets on these door cards, something that really just wasn't thought of it back in 1973. There's some neat custom instrumentation on the interior as well. There's a Bosch tachometer, always a nice touch when you're shifting your own gears. It's always nice to know how many revs you're turning. So that's a Bosch unit that's installed mounted in the center of the dash. Right behind it is actually a fire extinguisher. I always like to see those on hobby cars. And more on the inside, there's a stock looking 4-spoke VW steering wheel. I can't tell if that is the original steering wheel or not, but certainly it's definitely a VW Beetle style steering wheel. There are some photos on our listing where we pull up the carpets in the footwells for both driver and passenger, and you'll see there's a little bit of surface rust there, but the floors are definitely solid. You'll be able to conclude that from the photos we have. There's an aftermarket Alpine head unit in place, so that's a modern unit. The model number is IDA-X303. It's got your normal amenities like Bluetooth, so it'll plug into your phone for a hands-free conversation. HD radio is another feature it has. It's backed up by a couple of round 6-inch speakers, and those are mounted sort of at the sides of outside legs of both driver and passenger, and four of the doors. Nice touch for this car. It comes with 3 complete sets of keys, so separate key for ignition and door, and as I say, 3 sets come along with this car. Going back to the exterior, I did talk about the wheels with the red accents on the rings. One thing you'll notice from our photo gallery, this car is photographed with its air suspension featured. So air suspension installed, and there are photos of the car both with the air suspension raised and lowered. So when it's lowered, it's probably not for driving, but it looks pretty cool at a cruise night. I'll add that one of our videos demonstrates the raising of the, I was going to say raising and lowering, but it's actually 2 separate videos. There's one video demonstrating the air suspension raising the body of the car, and another video of it lowering the car. The owner's done a nice job of selecting some sort of appropriate, Beetle appropriate stickers on the car, all removable, of course, if that's a personal touch that the new owner doesn't want to have. The tail lights are a reasonable facsimile of a 73 stock tail light, but rather than having amber lenses, it's got clear lenses for the indicators. So the light underneath is the color. That's the source of the color when the indicators are flashing to indicate an upcoming turn. And then another white part, a clear part of the lens for the reverse lights. This car, the licensed technician owner, I think that's always a good person to buy from, but the licensed technician owner suggests that the only thing needed in Ontario safety for those buyers in Ontario is to get the washer nozzles reset and functional again. There is an interesting exhaust setup. It gives the car quite a nice rumble, actually. This car was originally equipped with a 1,585cc flat-4 engine with a single port. It's been bored out to 2180cc. So what's that? That's almost a 600cc increase. And it's a dual port engine now. And the owner says the manual on that spec of engine says the car is good for over 130 horsepower. So that's quite potent for a Beetle. Just cruising through the rest of our gallery here. I think I've addressed most of the interior items. If you look at the front trunk, as well as there being some controls and a washer fluid tank and a spare tire on an original VW wheel, you'll see some yellow paint if you look into our listing, and that's the original color of the car. So It is a repaint. Certainly, that's no secret with it being a matte black finish. But seeing that original yellow paint under the cover of darkness, under the front trunk lid, we know that it was not a rusty old front trunk that had to be sanded down to the metal. Going to the engine compartment, boy, it is presentable for a 51-year-old piece. You'll see that the two air filters have pre-filters for them. So it's easier to clean. The seller made the point to us that the pre-filters are easier to clean than the filters themselves. So that's why he has those installed. But looking at that engine bay, it's quite presentable. The ignition cables are clean and looking new. Same with the distributor and a couple of the pulleys, as well as the belts underneath. Air cooled, of course, and a flat 4. So a lot of the same technology from the early years of the Beetle, and a lot of the same technology that went into the engines for a Porsche 356 and 914, 912, some of those old Porsche models. Of course, the 911 Porsche has always been a flat, not a flat 4 like this car, but a flat 6. But yeah, those Porsche cars certainly show their VW roots with those engine layouts. Being that the owner is a licensed technician, as I say, he's got access to a lift. The car's on the lift. He's able to maintain the car all the time with easy access to a lift, but he's also given us several photos of the underside, probably about a dozen we have on the listing, and hard to find any rust down there. It's nice, clean underside, showing some signs of wear, of course, but no signs of rust. Going back to our selection of videos, there are a few driving videos that sort of show cruising speed. We've got a couple of the car accelerating and rolling through the gears. It's a 4-speed manual, and there's one where we have not really a panic brake, but a braking with urgency, I think we called it, and a little drive-by, a couple of drive-by videos. So have a look at our listing, please. There are 158 photos on it, so lots of detail there. And we've also got, it looks like, 11 videos on the listing. So you'll find the listing on our website, CollectorCarCanada.CA, and this custom 1973 Volkswagen Beetle 4-speed manual with a 2180cc engine producing about 130 horsepower, custom exhaust, and air suspension, lots of custom interior appointments as well. It's Collector Car Canada lot 182. So CollectorCarCanada.CA, you'll find our custom 1973 Volkswagen Beetle 4-speed manual as lot 182. To like, share, and subscribe, you'll find our video podcast on YouTube. Our handle there is Collector Car Canada. Collector Car is one word. But searching up Collector Car Canada podcast on YouTube will get you there as well. Thank you again. Like, share, subscribe.